Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learned in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are, get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Now, I have my first repeat guest, and it's because he's so full of advice. I was going to say, I didn't say full of himself, I said full of... And you already know it is, because he's given the laugh, which is everyone. So, of course, it is Newstalk ZB's Barry Soper. Been through quite a lot, though, you see, since we last talked. It's been just over a year since Barry underwent heart surgery, and it's been quite a journey. And so we want to get some advice on some of that. So, Barry, welcome back.
Hello, Paula. You're very much in the pink today.
I'm very pink today.
Yes, very much so.
Got a bit going on, and I just thought, sneakers and a suit and you're away.
I sort of almost need sunglasses, but that's fine.
That's all right.
I'll suffer.
Yeah, you'll be all right. I wear pink most days and I haven't worn pink all week, so I thought I'd overdo it today.
Excellent.
How's that? Okay, quick fire questions. If you can go to a pub for a drink with anyone interesting, who would that be?
Oh, who would it be? Oh, dear. Nelson Mandela.
Oh, shit, yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be. I've met him on several occasions.
Yeah.
And sat with him at a dinner. So
yeah, but by the way,
fascinating, man. But he's dead, unfortunately.
Well, and Heather picked Jesus. He's dead too.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
But she felt she'd have a lot of questions.
You always go after the unattainable, don't you, really?
Well, see, I would probably go Freddie Mercury at the moment. I change my mind every week.
It'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, he could be.
You and he would fit in quite well together.
Yeah. And I do quite like my flamboyant gay boys, I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I like the theatrical.
Yeah, and they are.
Yeah. Drink of choice?
Drink of choice. Oh, dear. I love a Negroni.
Oh, do you?
Yes. But the one that I probably, and it was funny, I went to a whiskey tasting dinner about 3 or 4 years ago. The British ambassador had put on, we had whiskies 50 years old, and it was a fairly small group, and they were all waxing on about whiskies, and I said to the man who was called The Nose, I said, Scotsman, obviously, I said, so quaffing whiskey, what would you suggest? He said, Johnny Walker Black.
Really?
I've always drunk Johnny Walker Black as a nice quaffing whiskey, an easy one with soda.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, before we get to your health, I think that we need to catch up on news. So we've got Heather pregnant. So you've got a number 2 child coming along. How old's Iggy at the moment?
Iggy's just over 2.5.
Yeah.
Going on 5.
Really?
He's a real character.
Well, with you two as parents.
Well, he's just amazing. And, every day is a different one for him.
And that curious brain?
Oh, picks up on everything. I love it. And he said, I took him down to Newstalk ZB yesterday, walked him down, and he always says, Mama on the radio. And then he says, Dada on the radio. And then when he came in and he sat in the studio for a while and then sat outside while Mum and Dad were on the radio. And he said, when we were coming home, he said, when I grew up, Iggy on the radio.
Oh, really?
I went, you never know, Iggy, you might be.
Yeah, just like
so
that,
his little brain had been thinking about it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just love that, the curious, actually, and the curiosity of it, when Steve Broadingus first became a father, he used to write weekly about and of course he's such a beautiful writer.
Yes.
Steve is, and with that sort of imagination. And I just honestly used to look forward to it. I used to download it before I hopped on a plane, and that was 17 years ago, by the way. And the reason I know all this is because my granddaughter was exactly the same age. Yeah. So I could see her through his eyes.
The nice thing about grandkids, though, and you know it, Paula, that you can sort of close the door and say, see you next time.
Been great. Lovely.
And with your own kids at my age, if anybody had said to me at my age, I'd still be having kids, I would have said, you're nuts.
So you've got grandkids?
I've got 4 grandchildren in Melbourne. Yeah.
And do you have quite a different relationship with them?
Well, it's terrible because they're overseas.
Yeah.
And in this business, it's very hard to get away.
Yeah.
And, of course, they're so busy. I was there last week,
Oh, yeah.
Heather and I and Iggy, because Iggy was there to meet his nieces and nephews.
And?
Two of whom are older, three of whom are older than him. And we had a joke about it, him being their uncle.
Yeah.
But, and his sister, of course, my oldest daughter is 42.
Yeah.
So his big sister's 42.
Yeah.
But look, they all got on well. They all played together. Iggy didn't pull rank, which was great.
Nice.
So he just played like the rest of them.
Yeah. And there's something in that, I mean, my family, we have, because, we're blended and we're all different ages and we've got all that stuff going on a bit as well. And we decided years ago that we just do 100%. So we don't do step sisters or brothers or children. We don't do halves. We don't do, we do cousins. We just do 100%, like we're family.
Although we say to Iggy now that at the moment they're their cousins.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard for him, I think, I said to Kate, my oldest daughter, I said, it would be fantastic when they all grow up and he's their uncle.
Yeah.
And I said, even more fantastic for you, Kate, because when you're my age, he'll be in his early 30s. And I would love to have a brother in his early 30s.
Wow.
I really would.
So you touched on it and then I took a slightly left. But that another baby at your age, I mean, you didn't imagine that, did you?
No.
It wasn't life's plan.
I would not have, if in fact, it was planned, absolutely. And, my health is much better than it was a year ago, although a year ago I never ever thought I had a health problem.
Yeah,
and that's what we'll talk about
we
now.
will.
That, that suddenly your life takes a change because your health is something that you've always had in my case.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you lose it a bit.
So becoming a dad again then is a big decision.
Well, it is, and one can only hope that this particular dad can live to see the youngest little girl that's coming along in January. One can only hope that I live long enough for her, first of all, to remember her dad, although she'll have older brothers and sisters who'll tell her about the dad. But I would like to see her, get it to a reasonable age so that she doesn't forget me. And that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
That
but they are a lot of work. As you just indicated, grandkids are great because, God, they go and I'm exhausted, particularly when they're little.
Yeah, because every day during the week I give Iggy his bath and read him a story and put him to bed.
Yeah.
And he's always been fantastic at that. And I love it. I really genuinely love it.
Yeah.
And I love getting home. I get home early in the evening and Heather's still on air. But I have a great time with Iggy. We have so much fun.
Yeah.
He's such a little character.
Yeah. And so number 2, but that'll be double work. On girls. Mind you've got daughters, don't you?
And we do have a nanny. So, we're luckier than many, that basically, because of what we do, we certainly need time in the office, so you can't be there all the time.
Okay, well, because it's an advice, podcast.
Yeah. Oh, is it, Paul?
Yes.
I thought it was a yarn.
Well, we just try and sneak a little bit of advice in there. Yeah. I'm not normally that blatant, you see. Listen in, people. I've got some good advice. Okay, child number 7 for you. There is a wealth of experience. What's your number 1 takeaway from your years of parenting?
Well, to be there for them, I think. Parents are very important to their kids, even as they grow up. As I've discovered over the years, that you can only have one mum and one dad, and it is important that you stay in touch. I would like to be in touch much more with my 2 daughters in Melbourne, and we're in touch, but when I say in touch, to be there a bit more for them. And I've got 3 children in Wellington who are grown up, of course, and we're on the phone a lot, and I go down quite a bit.
So do you parent the different children differently? You know what I mean? Like, so you must have some set rules and things that you abide by, but we're all quite different, aren't we, in what we respond to, and, some need more freedom, some need a bit more rules and boundaries.
Characters in their own right, very, very different. I mean, if I look at my 6 children that I have at the moment, they're all different in character, really.
So did you parent them differently based on that?
No, they were all parented exactly the same. Some were more rebellious than others. Some were more bookish than others.
Yeah.
I mean, my daughter in Melbourne, I'd take my hat off to her because she left school. She couldn't be bothered with it at 16. Went on to do hairdressing and finished her apprenticeship and was very much sought after in Wellington. But she said to me, look, I get tired of people talking to me all the time. She said, I thought I should turn this into a living. So what she's done now is she went out and studied sociology, and she works in the prisons in Victoria.
Wow.
With prisoners that are being released.
Yeah.
So I think, I said to her when I was there last week, I take my hat off to you because you could see a path and you could see what you wanted. And I think that's the main thing with kids these days, because there are many, many more pressures on kids today than there were in my time.
Well, and influences.
And,
right,
keeping them off the screen, and it drives you nuts that there are so many other pressures in kids' lives that we didn't have when we were kids. It was, you'd go into a little tree hut and sit around, talk, and go out and play on trolleys. It was about and play cowboys and Indians, which would be most un-PC.
Crikey,
very un-PC these days. Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Okay, let's chat politics a bit because we're 1 year on from this government being in power. Actually, you'll appreciate this. Yesterday I was in the Beehive and I went to see, as Chair of Whameka, I went to see my Minister, Seymour. So we'd had our meeting and we came out. And of course, I'm very good friends still with the Deputy Prime Minister, with Deputy Prime Ministers, with Winston Peters, office manager. You know SPS, but people never know what an SPS is, right, in the real world. So anyway, I was out there and I thought, I'll just go and give her a quick hug and say hi. And so I snuck into the office and his door was closed, so that's perfect. And as you know, in the Beehive, the doors interconnect, between your and so I ran into her and I went, hello, and of course she leapt out and we danced around and we had a big hug and all the rest of it. And I just looked up and here's Winnie P sitting at his desk with that wonderful wry smile.
Winston would like
it. He did. He had that wry smile on his face and I just looked at him and I went, because I just thought that the doors were closed because I just eyeballed her and I just went, hello, Deputy Prime Minister. It's lovely of you to have me in your office. Thank you. Bye.
He's, when you look at Peters at 78, he's the most consummate politician. You saw the large crowd he drew at his annual conference just a few days back. Which was extraordinary, really. I think about 800.
About one of the biggest for them, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it was 31 years, I think, since he formed it. And I still remember going out to Ellerslie and he launched off the back of a truck with Ian Shearer, who was a former Nat minister in the old days under Muldoon. But Winston was, look, he, whether you like him or dislike his politics, he's a consummate politician. He knows how to speak to the public. He is, and that's why he's good as our foreign minister. I've watched him overseas on many occasions. And, I mean, Condoleezza Rice, I kid you not, used to bat her eyelids at him.
Yeah.
Because Peters was, he's very good at engaging and looks smart. Looks the part of a foreign minister. And I think, he's got the job that he's the most well-suited to.
So don't you think, I think it looks like the coalition are getting on quite well, that the three leaders have certainly found a bit of their own groove.
Yeah, difficult. I mean, it's never going to be easy. I mean, you've got egos to deal with, and dare I say it, David Seymour's got rather a large ego, although in the past he was happy with an undersecretary when he was...
I've got no comment on this.
Yes, of course, sponsoring his end-of-life bill. So he put a lot of work into that, and that was taken up by Brooke Van Velden and did a very good job of it. But so you've got egos to deal with, and he will, of course, be Deputy Prime Minister next year. And Winston won't like that because David Seymour and Winston Peters have never got on. They've just never seen eye to eye, really, on anything. But I think they see eye to eye on the country and trying to do better for the country. I'm surprised that Christopher Luxon hasn't maybe done better in the opinion polls, because he does get out. I wrote a column relatively recently and talked about the need for him to engage more with the public. Well, he does engage a lot, but it's relatability is the issue, and whether he relates, because the media have had a field day of this man owning 7 houses, although he's shedding a few at the moment. But if you saw a person that worked in top executive jobs at Unilever and the CEO of Air New Zealand, making several $1 million a year, you'd say there would be something wrong with him if he didn't have investments. And if property is his portfolio, there should be nothing wrong in that. We should be celebrating the fact that we've got a Prime Minister that's taken a massive pay hit to come and run the country. And I say that's a good thing. And I think the unfortunate thing for Chris Luxon is that people don't see the humorous side of him. And he's got a very good sense of humour. And I'll tell you one little funny story, and it would sound something that John Key would do. I was sitting, and some of your listeners will know the old Parliament buildings in Wellington, and I was sitting cross-legged on one of those leather chairs where the concertinaed lift is, and it came down and opened up, and this is an old vintage lift. And Luxon climbs out, and I was on the phone. I had my legs crossed with brogues on, and he gets out of the lift, pulls out his pocket handkerchief and starts polishing my shoes.
See, that is
now,
funny.
that is funny.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say, it's greasing to the media, but it's not.
No.
He's being funny.
Yeah.
And he has that sense of humour, and it's a pity the public can't quite understand that there is a side of Luxon that's quite funny, but there's also a very serious side, and that's to clean up the mess that they inherited, and a mess they most certainly did inherit.
What do you think they need to concentrate on in the second year?
Oh, well, the second year is, they've concentrated a lot on policy, which is very unusual for a government to enact so much policy
in the first
year. And they've given themselves a report card to work to every quarter, which I think is good because it stands the test of time.
Some of those ministers had really done the work in opposition. Sorry, just picking up on them being able to roll. I mean, if you look at Erica Stanford, she'd done that work.
And old golden ball Simeon Brown. I mean, this boy, I remember when I used to work out in the gym at Parliament, and I used to see this boy in the changing room and think, is he old enough to be at Parliament? And this wasn't that long ago.
No.
And here he is now. He's got so many portfolios. And I think, for a young man, he does an extraordinarily good job being across all what are fairly difficult portfolios, energy and what have you.
So second year then, so they have rolled out a lot in that
Well,
first year.
they've enacted a lot of work now. Now they've got to put it into practice next year. And that's always hard. I mean, it's the old 3-year election cycle. Normally, you'd see them settling into power in their first year, policy in the second year, winning an election in the third year. But with this government, it's been policy in their first year, and now it's enacting it and seeing it work in the second year and then run for office. Although Chris Hipkins has been quoted as saying he'll be the Prime Minister after the next election, and he's put $1,000 of his own money on it. Well, I'm sorry, Chris. I would think that $1,000's well and truly lost.
Interesting. Oh, well, and then health is going to be a big issue. I mean, even with just with my pharmac hat on, and just think about, the medicines that are coming as we look as where we are, certainly we're seeing, a lot of breakdown in the wider health system. Yep. It is just not an easy turnaround, that one.
It's even made harder when you had a Māori health authority there that they disbanded, and the number of health boards, around 20, district health boards they had, that they had to disband them. I mean, and so then you have a glut of public servants pushing pens in the industry. Having been a recipient of the public health service, these people work extraordinarily hard in hospitals. And when the story came out recently about having to speak English, the nurses, and 50% of them basically are foreign trained, and many, many Indians work in the system. They are the most lovely people to be tended to. They do speak their own language, but when they speak to you, they do speak in English, although it's difficult to understand because many of them have face masks on.
Oh, yeah, true.
Which makes it even more difficult. And there were a number of occasions I had to say to them very apologetically, look, I'm terribly sorry, I can't understand your accent. We'd turn it into a joke.
Yeah.
And then they'd go and get somebody else that would explain something to me. And that's, you know, they have a really hard time in the health service, I think. And I think those of us who have been patients in it should show some more patience with the people that are trying to help them.
Well, and speak up for them like you are.
Absolutely.
And certainly from me, it's a major thank you, because the care that my own mother has had this year has just been extraordinary, and from such a wonderful, diverse and mixed workforce, but their care is just... Well, you've segued us nicely, because we're going to actually take a short break now, and then we're going to come back and talk about your health.
Oh, good.
And let's give some people some advice, you know, as to how they can look after themselves and what they have to do perhaps after they've had a bit of a major health scare. Welcome back in to Ask Me Anything, back with Newstalk ZB senior political correspondent Barry Soper. So Barry, it's been a big year for you, and is it just over a year ago that you underwent the first heart surgery?
Yes. And if anybody had asked me prior to that whether I had a major health problem, I would have said no.
Really?
And what happened was, on the night that I discovered it, I was scheduled to go to Stephen Joyce's book launch.
Yeah.
And I had a message from the doctor's surgery saying, can you call? So I called. I'd given a blood sample.
Because you'd been out walking, and here the kind of went, you're puffing a bit too. Is that right?
Coming up Franklin Road, I was puffing a bit, pushing the old pushchair. And it was progressively getting worse, so Heather said, go to the doctor. I went to the doctor, got a blood test. And then when I rang the surgery on the book launch night, the doctor there, Paula, she said to me, listen, we're disturbed about your blood showing, and it's troponin, I think it's called. The level is much too high. And I went, look, Paula, can we talk about this tomorrow? Because I've got a function I've got to go to. And she said, no, you're not going anywhere. You're going to hospital now.
Wow.
So I ended up in hospital. I didn't tell her that she's still on air.
So you actually didn't have a heart attack then?
I didn't, no heart attack. No, my heart's as healthy as they come. Yeah. So it was a major blockage. My aortic artery was blocked with calcium, 90% blocked. So pretty massive.
Yeah.
And I had two other vessels feeding the heart that were fairly blocked as well. So it was calcium. My cholesterol levels were always low.
Yeah.
So I always thought, I'm really healthy. I used to run a lot. And so I had no real indication other than never tight chest or anything.
Okay.
Just a shortness of breath. And that when I went into hospital, they did some tests and stuff and had me hooked up to every thing that you could possibly conceive of. And they let me out at about 2 a.m. and they said, you've got to go to a cardiologist. So I went to a cardiologist and he said, you probably need stents. And stents you can put in your arm and feed it into your vein. And so I went and did an angioplasty, and his head came around the corner of the curtain and said, mate, it's much more serious. I've always been so flamboyant about it, and I still am a bit. He said, much more serious. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, you're going to need open heart surgery. You know, you've got big blockages. And I went, oh, okay. Fortunately, I had private medical insurance. And again, for people that can't afford it, I understand, because it's very expensive. And I often thought, what's the point of having it? But it helped a lot. So I went into a private hospital here, had my heart surgery. I was in on the Monday, and they wouldn't let me out of hospital when I had the angioplasty. They said you cark at any time. Because once the artery blocks, that's it.
Yeah.
So I went, had the operation, felt really good.
And it's that they cut you right down
They
and
open your chest.
open.
Open your chest up. And I felt really good. But unfortunately, I got up to go to the loo. I was feeling really good, took photos of my chest, and I felt on top of the world. And that's what I would say to anyone that has the surgery. You won't feel that bad, and don't worry about going into it. People do worry a lot, but it's not that bad. They can do anything with the heart these days. But unfortunately, on the way to the loo, mine stopped. And so they rushed in and did CPR.
Oh, wow.
So it broke everything. It broke ribs, broke my chest bone, it broke everything.
Oh, yeah.
So because to do it, you've got to bring something back.
Yeah.
So they brought me back, and I wasn't in a great shape. So I was 3 months in hospital, to cut a long story short. Because I got infected by them doing the CPR, because they can't go out and sterilise their hands, and it was a very sterile area. So then it became very complicated, and I had 6 operations. And
well, what else did they operate on?
Oh, well, they have to get into the lungs. They had to do what they call a pectoral flap to heal the wound.
Yeah.
That's to bring a pec across.
Yeah.
They had a plastic surgeon in for that. So a lot of operations, and they said to me, because they always worry about you going under so much anaesthetic, whether you might lose your marbles, whether you're still cognitive. And they said to me after one, and I'd been feeling deeply under, and I came out and they said, "Who's the Prime Minister?" And I went, "Jacinda Ardern." And they went, their jaws dropped.
Yeah.
And I said, "Just joking." I was fine. I never had the issue with cognitive their function was never affected, fortunately, although some of your listeners may think it is. But I'd say to anyone, and I've talked to, funnily enough, a number of people, because they know I went through this, and they are afraid coming into surgery. And I've talked to a number and said, listen, don't worry, honestly, don't worry about a thing. Because we have some of the best cardiac surgeons in the world at Auckland Hospital, because I ended up in the public hospital after I had a relapse. And so it was an experience that I would never want to repeat. But 3 months in hospital was like being
very long
in prison. Yeah. And I haven't been in prison, but I assume it's like it. And for the last 2 months, I was eating ice in the morning, ice at lunchtime, and ice at dinner. That's all I was allowed to eat.
Wow.
For 2 months, because they fed you intravenously. And it was awful. And I couldn't read. I couldn't listen to anything.
Oh, no.
So you were there almost in a vegetative
Why couldn't
state.
you listen to anything?
Well, because you've got people coming in all the time. You've got so many tubes, you can't move.
Yeah, true.
Your whole room has to move if you want to go to the loo. Well, you can't go to the loo. You just, that's the thing that I found probably the hardest was that I was so confined to a bed, I couldn't get out. Yeah. So I was there. And then you have to learn to walk again.
Yeah, because you lose all your muscle mass.
You do, and I used to look at people. I'd see a window out my window, and I watch people walking along the street, and I was thinking, they're so lucky they can walk. And, of course, then I had to learn to walk again. But now I'm fine.
So just a step back. So if you'd had more symptoms and got in there earlier, do you think it wouldn't have been such an extreme operation?
No, I think because I'd always gone for annual checkups, and so I've often said to men in particular that you check your car in for a checkup every year.
Check you.
You should be checking your body in for a checkup as well. And funnily enough, the last one I had a thorough one, and right down to the ECGs and all that sort of stuff. And they mention a calcium buildup. But they said it's natural for a man of his age. And this is only about 18 months before everything happened.
So your only symptom then for someone that's out there listening is and that breathing was getting worse?
And I'm an asthmatic, but it wasn't an asthma sort of shortness of breath. I was slightly lightheaded. Yeah. And, when you're exerting yourself a bit, the lightheadedness, you don't want to fall over, but you feel dizzy and the shortness of breath, you've got to stop and just take a bit of a rest and carry on.
All right, well, good to know, because you just got to look at those.
They're the classic symptoms. Yeah.
So how are you now?
I'm fine. Yeah, well, I was in hospital a week before last.
Why?
Pneumonia in both lungs.
Goodness gracious. And is that just because from the illness a year ago, you're just going to have to keep
That's what people
yourself?
have to think, Paula, that, once you have complications like I had, other things can happen. And I've been in hospital 3 times this year.
Okay.
So the first time was with pneumonia. And pneumonia, this is something else that people don't realise. It comes on very quickly.
Oh, really?
It happens within a space of half an hour. Suddenly you get the jitters, you get higher fever, and your breathing's not too bad, but there's something definitely wrong. And the first time was pneumonia, and then the second time we're on holiday in Fiji, which was rather nice, and there was a slight festering of my scar. And I thought, this is weird. So my cardiologist had the pleasure of getting my holiday pics with those of my chest. And I got back, and when I got back, he said, "You're coming straight into hospital." And I had my 7th operation. So they didn't open it fully, but they opened me up a bit. That was in July.
That was to clean it out, really.
Get the gunk out.
Yeah.
But then the residual is probably week before last when I was in hospital with pneumonia.
With the double pneumonia.
Yeah, with double. But I'm, the stupid thing is that even though you look at all those and what's happened to me, I feel absolutely fine. And I'm fairly frivolous about health because, you've got to have it. But, everybody's got to die at some stage.
Yeah.
And there's my brother who died in his 40s of cancer. He said to me not long before he died, in fact, a few days before, he was driving me down to the airport in Invercargill. And I said to him, he's only 46, and I said, "Must be terrible, Lenny, facing the Grim Reaper at your age." And he goes, sucking on a cigarette, goes, mate, I reckon being dead can be no worse than it was before you're alive. I thought, it's something to think on that.
It's quite nice.
So, we all die, and, none of us can avoid it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right.
And none of us can avoid age. And you've just got to make the best of it.
You can avoid age by dying earlier. So then you don't get older. There you go.
Absolutely true. I never thought. I lost another brother at 16, so I'm aware of that.
Yeah. It's So you've been in our health system then a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, we touched on it before the break, but, just some amazing people working really hard.
Yeah.
But, man, we are seeing a system that's really creaking at the seams at the moment. I mean, what did you observe from the inside out?
Well, I think the only thing that you really observe and you realise there's no point in getting cross is when you ring the bell for the nurse. I've waited for half an hour before a nurse will front up, and if you're wanting to go to the loo...
That's a long time.
That's a long time to wait. And, when I say to them, look, I've been ringing the bell for the last half an hour, they're busy.
Yeah.
And I always have said to them, look, don't worry, it's not about you. I know the system's stretched. And I think that's the only noticeable thing that I felt being in hospital was getting attention when you really needed it. And that was only for a pee. I mean, it wasn't anything that was more serious than that. If it was, then you'd have good cause for worry.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, it wasn't.
Incredible people. So has it changed the way you live? Has it changed your outlook on life? Not
really, no. I still push Iggy on his 6K walk that we go on around the waterfront. So not really. It hasn't changed. I gave up drinking for quite a long time. But so you've got to be aware of your health, I think. My wife doesn't think I'm nearly as aware as I should be of my health. But
really?
I've often said to her, well, look, it's my health. I'm the one that's going to die, and I'm really aware of it, and I am.
Yeah.
But,
well, you've seen those symptoms of pneumonia and knowing you've had to act.
Yeah, but she would argue with me it's too late. You leave it too long.
Shouldn't have got it there. Yeah.
But when I go into the hospital and ask them, they say with pneumonia it's very hard to get an early warning. You might be coughing up phlegm, which you do with with a chest infection anyway. But it's probably reading your health. And I'd admit it, I'm probably not the best at reading my own health. But at the moment, I'm still numb across the chest. But other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah. To end the advice segment, what is some of the best advice you've been given?
Goodness gracious me, there's so much of it. That.
What about health-wise?
Just, just be aware of your own health, be aware of your own limitations. Probably don't do too much. And everybody says I never take it easy enough, but I'm not the sort of person that sits around and feels morose.
No, but you would read a lot.
I read a lot, and I
listen
watch some of the Netflix, series, and
Good.
are always fun.
Good.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, it's called Ask Me Anything, so this is that one little bit where you get to ask me something, though I feel like you've asked me enough in my life.
No, but I reckon you've got to be honest about this. You're missing politics.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah. See, it's got a thinking.
I'm trying to think whether I do or not.
You do.
Because my natural reaction
You miss the cut and thrust. That's what you loved in politics.
Yeah, my natural reaction is no, I don't. But then, as I was saying, I was there just yesterday, and I did think, I've definitely got a bit of mongrel in me.
That's what you got to have.
Yeah,
you've got to have.
Yeah. So I did like the cut and thrust, and it's nice. I suppose what I do miss was I do think it's something I was good at.
Yeah.
So there's something, you do take pride in something that not everyone's good at.
So that's the tilt at the mayoralty that you're
No, I don't think
about.
so.
No, old Wayne would love it.
That sounds really...
He would love a bit of competition.
Wouldn't
Not.
he? Not. God, no. Imagine him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Barry, thanks for coming back to chat. All the best for the baby coming up. I'm very excited because I like baby cuddles.
Yeah.
If you want more from Barry, you can catch him every afternoon with Heather on Newstalk ZB. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. If you have enjoyed this episode, please follow me on Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you check out some of my past fabulous guests. Maybe you should go back and listen to Barry 18 months ago, and then you can sort of catch up again, and you can have a double whamming of that one. I'll be back next Sunday, though, with another fabulous guest. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.